Have you ever wondered why teenage boys just seem to take so many more risks? I mean, it can be completely baffling, right? Well, it turns out the answer isn't just about attitude or culture. A huge part of this story is actually written in their biology, and it all starts with one truly shocking number. Here it is. Adolescent boys are 10 times more likely to end up in jail than girls. Let that sink in for a second. 10 times. That is not a small gap. That's a massive chasm. So what on earth is going on here?
What could possibly explain that? Is it just social pressure? Is it culture? Or, as the science is starting to show us, is there something much deeper at play? Something happening inside the teenage brain itself? Okay, so let's dig into this shocking number. Because that 10x statistic, well, it isn't just a random endpoint. It's actually the result of two very different developmental journeys that start years and years earlier. And that's where we get to what you could call the puberty divide. This whole story really kicks off during puberty, which is where the biological and social paths for boys and girls just start to diverge dramatically. And you can see those two paths laid out right here. On average, as girls go through puberty, their development kind of pushes them toward becoming more empathetic, more social. But for boys, well, the biological priority is completely different. It's all about developing more muscle mass and what scientists call a higher aggression potential. And what that really means is just a lower threshold for responding physically when they feel challenged.
Now, this is so important to understand. We are talking about biological pressures here, not unchangeable destinies. This is absolutely not saying every single boy will be aggressive or that every single girl will be empathetic. It just means that their biology is nudging them pretty strongly in different directions during these really formative years.
So let's peel back another layer. What is the actual biological engine that's driving these different pressures, especially for boys? This is where we get into the biology of risk.
And the main player on this stage is testosterone. I mean, during puberty, a boy's body is just flooded with the stuff. It completely transforms him physically. But you know what? Its most powerful influence might be on the one organ we can't even see, his brain.
And this shows you just how big its impact is. See, testosterone doesn't just build muscle. It has this profound effect on the brain. It's what increases that aggression potential we just talked about. It's also strongly linked to impulsive behavior. And yeah, it can actively encourage taking high-risk actions. The brain is, well, it's literally being marinated in a hormone that is pushing for quick, physical, and often really risky response.
So, when you put all of that together, the science becomes pretty clear, right? These hormonal changes during puberty give adolescent boys a much higher biological likelihood to engage in exactly the kind of impulsive, high-risk behavior that can sometimes get them into serious trouble. And that brings us to what I think is the most important part of this whole discussion. Because understanding the biology is one thing, but what we do with that understanding, well, that changes everything. This is about explanation, not excuse. And this quote right here is the single most important takeaway. Biology doesn't excuse behavior, but it explains the different pressures teens face. Seriously, think about that. This isn't about giving anyone a free pass for their actions, not at all. It's about recognizing the powerful, invisible forces that they're dealing with every single day.
And that distinction is absolutely critical. An explanation helps us get to the why. Why is this young person more likely to do something impulsive? The biology gives us a huge piece of that puzzle. But an excuse? That's totally different. An excuse tries to let someone off the hook, to absolve them of responsibility. And that's not what this is about. This is about adding context, adding understanding.
So why does this matter so much? Well, because this understanding changes everything. It helps us feel real empathy for the intense biological storm that these kids are navigating. It helps us design way better support systems, things like sports, mentorship programs, or just constructive outlets for all that physical energy. And maybe most importantly, it can help shift our focus as a society away from just punishment and more towards guidance, towards teaching self-control and how to channel that incredible energy in positive ways.
So, the real question for all of us is this. Knowing what we know, knowing that young men are navigating this biological tide that pushes them towards risk, how can we become better guides for them? How can we use this understanding to build a world where that powerful energy doesn't lead to a jail cell, but to a life of incredible achievement? That's the challenge, but it's also the incredible